The world of wine has so many rules and regulations and myths and things that people hold on to, and a lot of it doesn't need to be as strenuous as it is. When it comes down to it, enjoy your beverage the way you want to enjoy it. That's it. Full stop. Now, these rules, or guidelines, if you will, are there for a reason. However, we are going to dispel 5 of the myths today to kind of help you guys along your way. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of 5 Fact Friday, where we share 5 fun facts about a specific whiskey or wine topic, and hopefully you guys are going to learn something. My name's Sam, this is Whiskey and Wine, and yes, I'm dressed up like a teacher today because it is Dresscember. If you don't know what Dresscember is, take a check over at our shorts and over on Instagram and TikTok. We explain what it is and how we're raising money to help end human trafficking. We're donating all this money to IJM, the International Justice Mission. Cool? All right, now that we got out of the way why I look like a complete nerd today, let's dive into 5 myths. First myth, red wine goes with meat. Specifically red meat. So if you have steak, if you have, or really beef, venison, any red meat, it's like, okay, yes, you should be using a red wine. Now, the reason this is a myth, I'm saying, is because it doesn't need to be. This is a very good guideline for when you're getting started because it actually makes sense. Typically, red meats are going to have more of a robust flavor. These are going to be very powerful foods, and you're usually also going to season them a little bit more heavily. With those heavier seasoning and that very robust, punchy flavor, yeah, it makes sense typically to have a wine that is going to compare with that or compete with that. This most time is going to be a red wine. Most white wines and rosés, champagnes, things like that, sparkling wines, are not going to be able to stand up to something like a steak. However, you can make a white wine or sparkling wine or other wines go with these red meats. What you want to do here is make sure that you're actually paying attention to the flavors that are on your dish. So I've been using steak as an example. Again, this is any red meat, but I'm just gonna say steak. So let's say we have a steak dinner, and it's actually a lemon pepper crusted steak, or even a fun one, a chimichurri steak. People really like doing that for some reason. I'm not into it because I don't like cilantro. But say you have that, and then you got some more earthy vegetables on the plate with it, and everything is flavored just very bright. It's very fresh. With that, you could probably go with, honestly, a sparkling wine would go pretty well. You could also go with just a white wine that is going to have a lot of minerality to it, a white wine that's going to have a little bit more body, that might have some more acidity to it to help cut through the fat that's going to be going on in your red meat. Thinking about that, thinking about how am I going to cut this? How am I going to pair with the other subtle flavors that are on my plate? When you're thinking about that, that is going to help you pair a white wine, a sparkling wine, a rosé, an orange wine, whatever, to your red meat. So no, you do not always have to go red wine, red meat. However, yes, it is a very safe option, a very safe option, but it is not a hard and fast rule. Remember, these are just guidelines until you start to understand more of what's going on, and then you can break away and have a little bit more fun. Let's move over to myth number 2. If you didn't see this one coming, I don't know what to tell you. White wine doesn't go with fish. You don't always have to do this. Again, yes, it's very easy to be like, yeah, I have this white wine. I'm gonna pair it with fish, or I have fish. Give me the white wine. You don't have to do that. There are a lot of other things you can do. My personal favorite is grab a rosé. Rosés are that nice in between, or honestly, grab just skin contact. It could be a rosé or it could be an orange wine. Grabbing that skin contact, you are going to get a little bit of the tannin, but you're also going to get a lot of that acid that's going to come through as well, which is going to help cut through all the flavors that are in the fish. But you don't have to stop there. Just like we talked about with red wine, how you can make it a little bit fresher and brighter and then pair it with a white wine, you can do the same thing with fish. So say you have an ahi tuna or something else that is very robust and it's got this very earthy, dark sauce on it. Awesome. You can easily pair that with a light-bodied red wine like a Pinot Noir. If you play with the subtle flavors that are going on in your dish, it is very easy to pair it to whatever wine you want. You just have to make sure there are complementary flavors within the dish and within the wine. So you can find one of those flavors that stands out on your dish, find a wine that has that same thing, it's gonna work very well. Number 3, sulfites cause headaches. This one is a full-on myth, and I'm sorry. Now, some people are gonna come after me saying, no, like I've definitely had this happen. Sulfites in wine, the amount that are in there are so much less than what's in, say, French fries or other preserved foods. So if you think the sulfites are actually in there causing your headache, it's probably because you're just not drinking enough water while you're actually drinking your wine. Now, there are people who have allergic reactions to sulfites. However, this isn't going to typically be headaches. This is going to be actual anaphylaxis style reactions, like anyone have to another allergy or another allergen. Sulfites can be an allergen to some people. However, again, it's not going to cause headaches. What causes the headaches is just going to be the lack of water, or you might be not eating enough. You might be out in the sun while you're drinking all of your wine, and again, not drinking enough water. There are a lot of other things that are going on there. And yes, I know people have the little stir sticks and all these things, and they claim it works. There's this lovely thing in science we like to call the placebo. Just because you think something is going to work, your body automatically makes it work. And now if anyone wants to drop some scientific, peer-reviewed articles down in the comments of proof that sulfites can cause headaches, and they do cause headaches, and this is a proven fact, outside of obviously all the other sulfites that are out there that are in potato chips, fries, anything like that, let's have a conversation about it. Because I did look into this, and there are some studies that show that. However, they're not the greatest studies. It's one of the studies where people are looking specifically at one thing to prove their point and not looking at the data holistically. Now that I got that somewhat troublesome piece out of the way, let's move on to number 4. Boxed wine is bad. Now this is one that I held onto for a very, very long time. And back in college, the whole thing with boxed wine was slapping the bag, and this is what we did. I've come to realize that now especially, boxed wine does not mean bad quality. There are some good boxed wines out there, so let's talk about this. Now obviously we know boxed wine isn't actually in a box. It's inside of a plastic bag within the box. And people would say, oh, it's just this giant thing of wine. Obviously this can't be good. You realize we have other giant things of wine. We have magnums, we have, I am losing all the names, but let's just go up to the big one. There's Nebuchadnezzar bottles of wine out there that are absolutely huge. All this is a larger format wine that is pretty easy to pour, honestly. You don't have to worry about spilling the bottle or anything like that. You just hit the little nozzle. Now, this is becoming more and more prevalent, mainly in the US, because Gen Z and whatever, Gen Alpha, I don't even know if they can drink yet, but are focusing on just easy access wine, which means a lot of canned wine or smaller format or boxed wine, because it is easy to get, easy to transport, and easy to serve. So wineries are starting to take this format of wine and put their good stuff in it. So you can find good boxed wine. That does not mean all boxed wine is good, but you can find good boxed wine. Just like not all wine in general is good. There's bad wine, there's good wine. There's bad boxed wine, and there's good boxed wine. You just have to pay attention to who's the producer, what are they doing, and what's actually going into the bag that's in the box. And on the flip side of that, we have number 5. Expensive wine equals good wine. I have had this happen numerous times where we'll be looking at a wine list and someone will be like, oh yeah, let's get this one. It's the most expensive in that category, so it should be good. This is not always the case. I have been burned numerous times on ordering a very expensive bottle or buying an expensive bottle and then being just sorely disappointed that it did not stand up to some of the cheaper bottles of wine that I like. One of my absolute favorite bottles of wine is a Cabernet Sauvignon from Alexander Valley. It is pristine. I love what's coming from there. I love it so much. However, I've tried another wine, also Cabernet Sauvignon from the same producer, that costs about $50 to $60 more. And it does not quite stand up to the Alexander Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. Just because something is more expensive does not automatically make it better. There might have been just less grapes, they might have had just a rougher harvest, they might have done something specific to this that was an experiment, and they're like, all right, well, this was more expensive because we aged it in a different type of barrel or something like that. Price does not equal quality. We've talked about this numerous times, but I feel like it needs to be said again so that we can all get away from trying to buy the most expensive bottle and just find the good bottles. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, drop me a comment about your favorite wine myth, maybe one that you believed or one that you've seen people believe and it kind of makes you laugh. Regardless, I'm glad you're here. You have officially made it to the weekend. Cheers to you, and I will see you on Monday.